G'day again everyone, this is Susie. I'd like to show you a game I wrote. So this is Freebee. It's a Microbee compatible that I designed and built. Basically, it lets you build a Microbee using modern parts, modern key switches, modern ICs, with the exception of the CPU, the CRT controller, and the PIO. Everything else is standard 7.4 series logic, or just vanilla parts that you can buy from Mouser or DigiKey or whoever your part vendor that you like is. So after building the computer and or designing and building the computer, I got on a bit of a software kick. So I went through and I disassembled the basic, and as I've shown in various other videos, I have extended the basic so that I can do a lot more than a Microbee ever did. Chief of that is that I can store all my stuff in Flash EEPROM, which is quite cool. You'll see this last one though. This is Tetris. So over the last month or so, I got a bee in my belly, in my bonnet about rewriting Tetris. So from the ground up, I wrote a Tetris game for the Microbee. Essentially what I did was back in the 90s, I owned a Game Boy, the original Game Boy, and I only had one game, the game that came with it, and that was Tetris. And I played that to death. I played that for many, many thousands of hours. So I really love that particular version of Tetris. I keep wanting to go back to that particular version of Tetris, but modern Tetris versions are shit. They're generally full of ads, they're not a lot of fun to play, and they're basically, like everything modern on the internet, they're enshittified until they're just awful. So I thought, hey, let's write one. So I did a bit of research on the specific sort of dynamics of how Tetris works, and I thought I'd just replicate it. So let's just get on with it and play. So essentially, like any Tetris, you've got a standard play field, 22 down, 10 across, and the blocks move. So I started off by basically doing that by creating some blocks using the programmable characters of Freebee and just moving them around. Initially, my game started by simply manipulating video memory. So to move a tetromino, I would erase a tetromino first, check whether it would fit in its new location, and then write it to its new location. Which, I mean, that sounds all well and good, except the tiny issue that I had was, even though that erase, check, write cycle was only taking a few tens of microseconds, on the actual screen, you could see visible tearing when I erased the tetromino. So the bit where the tetromino would go very, very briefly black for less than a cycle, and then it would go, and then it would be redrawn. So I thought that looked crap. It didn't look really professional enough. So I basically rewrote the machine so that rather than using, all right, I'm going down. So that rather than using video RAM for that check, I did the check in normal RAM, and then I just copied the results across to video RAM once the check was done. That got rid of the tearing completely, and it made it so that the game now plays a lot cleaner and looks really good. So that was that. Other than that, my game is similar to normal Game Boy Tetris as far as I can, with one limitation being that on the Freebee I run a vertical sync rate of 50 Hertz, whereas on the Game Boy they had a vertical sync rate of 60 Hertz, which means that my timings can't be exact as far as normal Tetris goes. In fact, what it means is that in these reasonably high levels, level 7, 8, 9, the game's just a tiny bit easier to play. But I don't mind that because it makes it a lot of fun. But what I've found is that just like the original Tetris for the Game Boy, my version of Tetris is actually quite addictive, and I've been playing it to death, as well as writing it, and then making it a little bit better, then writing it, and then playing it again and making it a little bit better. And honestly, that's what it's all about. So Freebee doesn't connect to the internet. The connection to my Mac is via a serial cable. So I do all of the development work on the Mac using reasonably modern software tools, i.e. a slightly more modern Z80 assembler than what you ever got on the Microbee. And it's cool. No web browser, no enshittification, no garbage, just a lot of fun play, just like you had back in the 1980s. So it's what computers should be, honestly. I mean, yes, and it's a lot of fun. And I just can't get that one. Haha, I got it out with a Tetris. So yeah, so cruise on over to the Microbee Software Preservation Project, which is where I kind of hang out and people are building these things, and have a bit of a look, have a play, and hey, maybe even make your own freebie and see what life was like back in the mid-80s for us here in Australia with computers. Anyway, I know this is the problem with Tetris, is that once you start playing Tetris, you just actually can't stop. And I just will keep going until... Anyway, that's it. I'm going to stop now. Thank you very much for listening. Ciao.